till now we have seen the various Vedic darshanas. Now we turn our attention to the non-Vedic darshana. The first among them that we will be seeing is the Jaina darshana. Just to recap, they have their own canonical work. Just like the Hindu tradition has its own belief in the Veda and as well as the Purana, the Jaina also have the canonical works as well as the Puranas among them. They have their own version of the Ramayana also in their in the Jaina tradition. Over time, the Jains have developed into two sects. One is the Svetambara or the white clad ascetics, and the other one is the Digambara, which is the sky clad, or it is somewhat more or less naked ascetics. So, at a period of time, these two different sects emerged. To give briefly some points about the philosophy of Jaina Darshana, they believe that reality is pluralistic, in the sense that there are many entities in the world. Just like somebody like Ramanuja or Madhvacharya would say, or a Nayayika or a Vaisheshika would say, they also believe that the world is characterized by multiplicity. It is not one, like Shankaracharya may have said. Reality is characterized by plurality. There are many entities in the world. So, this thesis is called Anekantavada. But this reality, the plurality which is existing in it, is relative. So, I can identify 10 things in this world, you can identify 10 things in this world. The 10 things that I identified will not be the same thing as you have identified. So, each person perceives reality and the pluralism that is there in the reality relative to the framework that we have. So, each of us, it is like each of us is wearing some spectacles, and each of us is seeing the plurality of this world through those spectacles. So, the plurality that you see may be different from the plurality that I see. So, this thesis is called Syadvada. So, from one point of view, reality may be like this. From another point of view, reality may be something else. A very famous example given in this context is the story of 6 blind men trying to understand what elephant is. So, since they are blind, they do not know that they are touching the same thing. So, one person says that elephant is very hard. Somebody who is touching the back, let us say, is saying no, reality this elephant is very hard. The person who is touching the trunk, let us say, will say no, it is very squiggy and some very serpent like thing it is. The person who is touching the tusk, they may say no, reality is very smooth. So, each person has their own interpretation, or each has their own understanding of what the elephant is. In the same way, each of us, because each of us is wearing our own relativistic framework we all interpret reality, or we all see that plurality in from our own relativistic standpoint. So, relative to one standpoint, something may be true, something it may be false from another point of view. Nobody apart from a Tirthankara has the absolute knowledge of the world. All of us have knowledge only from our point of view. So, I am seeing this stand from this side, I do not know what is there on that side. So, if I describe that the stand is black in color, maybe backside it is painted white, I do not know, right. So, but someone who is sitting on that side of the stand, they may say that no, stand is white, but when they are sitting on this side, it is black. So, only a Tirthankara will know reality from all of its point of view. And in order to understand reality, they gave their own classification, just like the Vaisheshika classified reality into Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, etc. The Jaina also tried to classify reality. They classified reality into two broad categories. One was the Jiva and the other was Ajiva. So, Jiva is all the living entities and the Ajiva is everything else. So, the Jiva entity is further categorized into Mukta and Baddha. Mukta entities are who are free from this cycle of birth and death, and Baddha are those who are still in the cycle of birth and death. These Baddha Jivis are once again classified into mobile and immobile. So, hopefully me and most of the people watching this video are mobile in some form, and there are other immobile entities also which are coming under the category of Jiva. Among the Ajiva, you have Pudgala, which is matter. An interesting thing over here is that for the Jaina, karma also is a matter. So, it is a physical entity which attaches itself to the soul, Atman, and brings it into the samsara chakra or drags it into the samsara chakra. The other 4 kinds of Ajivas are Dharma, which is motion, Adharma, which is rest, Dik, which is space, and Kala, which is time. So, this is a broad categorization of reality as given by the Jaina. Now, what about the Jaina theory of karma and liberation? Remember, all philosophy in India is to get liberation. So, according to the Jaina, the cycle of birth and death is caused by the Pudgala called Jiva. This karma enters into the Jiva and binds itself, just like when you have a wet cloth, it becomes sticky, or the mud attaches to it very quickly. Like that, karmic matters gets attached to the jiva, and it is the attachment with karma that binds the soul to the body, and because of which the cycle of birth and death goes on. So, when the karma fructifies through some experience, it evokes various passions like anger, greed, krodha, lobha, mana, etc., maya, etc. These kinds of passions it evokes, which further creates more karmic particles, and further we enter into the cycle of birth and death. So, it is the association of the matter and the jiva. This association of the matter and the jiva is due to the ignorance of the jiva about the true nature of the world. So, when the true nature of the jiva and the nature of the world is realized, they will slowly start becoming going on the path of liberation. So, what is that path? How does one get liberation? So, it is obtained firstly by following the teachings of the Tirthankaras. So, remember, the Tirthankaras are the only ones who have access to the real nature of the world. So, if we have to also attain liberation, we have to follow the sayings of the Tirthankaras. But in order to follow their teachings, we must have faith in their teachings. So, right faith or samyak darshana is the number one requirement for them. So, we should have the right faith in the teachings of the Tirthankaras, that yes, reading these works or studying these works will take me to moksha. After this, we must follow the path that they have laid out. So, the faith in the teaching must be followed by the conduct. So, samyak achara or right conduct in this is important to remove the karma. And one of the most important of these is ahimsa. Many of you may have seen that they wear the white color patti, sometimes the mask they wear in order to prevent germs. They even sometimes sweep the floor in order to not accidentally harm anything which may be walking, or some insects which are going on the road, etc. So, ahimsa for the ascetics is the most important of the conduct. And then finally, this right faith coupled with the right knowledge gives rise to a clear understanding, which is the true knowledge of the nature of the self. So, with this right faith and the right conduct, the clear understanding of the teaching comes, and this teaching gives us the true knowledge or the real knowledge of the jiva and its nature with the reality, and finally the soul gets liberated. So, these three are the main paths or stepping stones to getting liberation: right faith, right conduct, and right knowledge finally. So, these three paths lead one to liberation according to the Jainas. After getting the teachings of the Tirthankaras, we must follow in that particular conduct laid out by them in order to remove our karmas. And one of the important features of this conduct, or the most important conduct that we have to follow, is ahimsa. So, you may have seen several Jains who have a white color mask to prevent germs from getting in, or they sweep the path in front of them to avoid stepping on any insects, etc. So, ahimsa is one of the most important features of their right conduct that they have to follow. With the right faith coupled with the right conduct, the clear understanding of the teachings of the Tirthankaras follows. This leads to the right knowledge or samyak jnana. So, this knowledge leads to liberation. So, remember, it was the ignorance of the nature of reality and the jiva that takes one into the cycle of birth and death. Therefore, that ignorance can be removed only by knowledge. So, samyak jnana will take us to liberation. So, samyak darshana, that is right faith, followed by samyak charitra, which is right conduct, followed by samyak jnana or right knowledge. So, these three take you to liberation. So, this is the path laid out by or recommended by the Jainas to get liberation.